Every guru is telling you the exact same thing to get your online coaching or programs to 20 grand a month. Just increase your prices, run more ads, post every day, sleep when you die, build a new funnel.
But if you've tried to follow that advice and you are still not making 20,000 a month with your coaching business consistently, it is not your fault. You've just been misled.
And after making much more than 20 grand a month from my own online coaching programs for the best part of the last decade,
with more than 1,000 high-ticket clients in my programs, I have watched thousands of other coaches try to scale the way that you've probably been trying to. Instead, what I am about to walk you through is the scale equation. Each letter of the word scale stands for one of the key 5 elements.
And if you miss just one of these things, you could end up working way more hours for way less money and probably burning out. Get all 5 working together,
and 20K months is just a few tweaks away. And the most important of the 5, the one almost nobody is paying attention to, has nothing to do with getting more sales or leads. It's called the scale equation for a reason. And in any equation, you don't just solve it left to right. You solve for the variable everything else depends on. In a coaching business, that variable is the C. Clients. So even though the acronym spells scale, we must start at C. And here's why. Every other letter in the scale equation sits on top of this one. The clients you choose to take on are what sets your prices. They shape every conversation that you have on a sales call. They decide what you post about, who you make content for, and what your whole coaching business ends up looking like. Get clients right, and the rest of the scale equation becomes much simpler to run. Get clients wrong, and there isn't a tactic in any of the other 4 areas that can save it. So there are 2 kinds of clients who can walk into a coaching business. The first kind pays you well, does the work, gets a great result, and refers you 3 more clients just like that. The second kind drains your energy, fights every step of the way, churns before they see results, and tells people that you didn't deliver. The problem is that on paper, before you take them on, the 2 kinds of clients can look almost identical. The difference shows up only after you've already said yes, when the wrong one is already inside your program, taking up your time and slowly damaging the business that you've built around them. What separates the right kind of client from the wrong kind is 5 specific criteria that you must check before you enroll them. And we call the person who passes all 5 a 5-star client. The way this works is simple.
Think of it like a rating. Normally the client rates the coach. Here, you rate the client. They earn a star for every criteria that they meet, and the 5-star clients are the only ones that you take on.
The bar for who gets in has to be set by you on purpose before they ever start.
And I know what that sounds like when your calendar is not full yet. Declining anyone feels insane when you need the income. So stay with me. The rest of this equation is built to fill your calendar with the right people so that saying no to the wrong one stops becoming a risk and it becomes simple math.
Criteria 1.
It has to be someone whose problem you can actually solve. Years ago, when I was still below 20 grand a month selling online fitness coaching, I took on a guy who wanted to train for a marathon, and my expertise was women's strength. It was nothing to do with marathons. 6 months and hundreds of hours later, buried deep in research about marathon running, which by the way, I didn't care about, I ended up refunding the guy.
So before you ever say yes to a prospect, ask yourself one question. Have I taken someone with this exact problem from where they are to where they want to be, even once?
Even if the only person that you've ever solved it for was yourself?
If the answer is no, you are that person no matter how badly they want to work with you.
Because it has to be somewhere your method genuinely works. Because if you've got to sign a client and then spend hours researching how to do that thing, you can't reliably take them from where they are to where they want to be. So if that's the case, that star has to stay empty.
Criteria 2.
They also have to be coachable, and that client needs to prove that to you before you ever take them on. Watch whether they reply to your messages. Watch whether they do the small things that you ask to do them before the sales call. If they do not do a small thing now, they will not do the big things later. And coachability must be something that you need them to prove to you.
So watch what they do before they ever pay you. Did they reply to your messages within a reasonable time? When they filled in the application form, did they engage with the questions or skip the ones that needed real thought? And if you asked them to watch a video before your sales call, did they show up having watched it? Criteria 3.
They have to be willing to pay. When I was first doing my online coaching business, I took on 5 of my friends for free to help them get results. And I spent days building their programs and setting everything up. And every week I found myself chasing them for an answer. And not one of them finished the program. In fact, almost all of them had actually gained weight, and I felt completely awful. But it was not my fault that my coaching failed. It was because when people do not pay, they don't pay attention.
So on the sales call, ask one question. What have you already done to try to solve this, and how much did you spend trying? Their answer tells you almost everything you need to know. If they tell you they spent the last few years watching free YouTube videos, that's someone who's never had to take this problem seriously. If they've already paid for coaches or programs, they've already proven with their own money that this is a real problem that they value solving.
So the problem has to matter enough to them and be valuable enough to fix that paying your real price makes sense. You're not here to convince broke people to find the money. You want the person who already wants this problem solved and that's willing to spend money to solve it.
Criteria 4.
You have to actually like them. This work is intimate. You're going to be in their life, in their head, week after week. If their name on your calendar makes you wince, no amount of money makes that worth it.
And honestly, this is one of the hardest of the 5 to measure. Liking someone is a feeling, not a metric. There is no clean question, no signal, no checklist. The only diagnostic is your own honesty with yourself after the sales call or during. If your gut says that you don't like this person, trust it. Refer them to somebody else. If you have to talk yourself into liking someone before you take their money, that star must stay empty. And then there's criteria 5.
And they have to fit one specific avatar. Not a dating client this week and a business scaling client the next. One type of person chosen on purpose that you build your whole business around. More on that later.
So the way to check this is to write your offer in one specific sentence, which is, I help target audience with specific problem without common obstacle. That's it. It's just one sentence. You just fill in those 3 blanks specifically for your business, and then you've got a real avatar to compare every prospect against. And if you can't do that, every prospect is gonna feel like a fit because there's nothing specific to measure them against. So here's what this looks like in practice. I help busy professional women in their 40s lose 20 pounds without giving up wine on the weekends. Or I help online fitness coaches scale to 20,000 a month without running ads or building funnels. And once you have your version of that sentence, every prospect who comes to you either fits it or they don't. And if you have to bend that sentence around them, the star stays empty.
That is the 5-star client. So rate everyone that comes to you against all 5, and the 5-star clients are the only ones that you take on. Because when you do this, getting clear on what they are actually buying becomes a key part of the scale equation. Because most coaches get this part wrong. They think that client is buying love coaching or a marketing program. The strength coach thinks that people are buying strength training. The energy healer thinks that people are buying energy work. The copywriter thinks that people are buying copywriting. They are not. Your client is buying a before and after. That gap is your method. Whatever you actually do with them to get them from A to B is your method. It's the vehicle that carries them across the gap. So let me illustrate this point to you. An amazing energy healer called Mina Samara is a clear example of this. And the thing that Mina does is energy healing. And like most coaches, she sold the thing that she does. Her whole offer was called energy healing, but nobody wakes up in the morning wanting energy healing, or a very small group of people do. That was just her method. So when she came to me struggling to generate the clients that really needed her work, my team and I, we reframed it. We didn't change what she was doing at all with her client. The actual work stayed the same. The only thing that changed was the positioning of what she did for her client. So I asked her, who's your very best client? And she told me it's a woman whose income has been stuck for years. So we looked at the before and after, which before was a stuck income, after was an increased income. And instead of telling clients that it was all about energy healing, she was telling clients she would get them that increased income. So energy healing didn't go anywhere. It just became the method to bridge the gap. And clients finally started feeling understood. They saw that she knew where they were now and where they wanted to go. And this unique and differentiated way of getting from A to B was really interesting to them because it's something that they hadn't tried yet.
In the space of 6 weeks, bring in £60,000 revenue. And I've never done that before in this business.
So once you know the before and after that you deliver and the 5-star clients that you want to deliver it to, you deliver it with one consistent package and you make sure that the thing that you do becomes your method. Because remember, you are selling the A to B and you sell this package consistently every time. That is fundamental to getting to consistent 20 grand a month. A lot of it is saying no to other things that you otherwise could do so you can say yes to the ultimate goal. Because this means you don't build something different for every client. You build one thing that works and you run it again and again. And when you do this long enough, your business turns into something bigger than a list of clients. It becomes a flywheel. Every client you take through that package makes you better and faster at running it. And the better you get, the better results your clients walk away with. Better results bring in referrals. A client who got exactly what they came for sends you people just like them.
They grow your business in the background with case studies, referrals, word of mouth that brings the next client to you ready to buy.
More of the same avatar. And for each new client, you serve better than the last one because you get better too. This is the referral flywheel. This is how you build network effects into your own business. And most coaches never feel this because they take a different type of client every time. So the referral flywheel never even gets going. And being better and faster pays you back in another way, which most of your competitors aren't even considering. And understanding this is key to fully embrace the next element of the scale equation, economics. Economics is the math under your business. What you take home every month comes down to 3 numbers, and you control all 3. How much you charge, how many clients you serve, and what it costs you to run it. Your price times your clients is what comes in. Your cost comes off the bottom. What is left is what you keep. And most coaches obsess over the first 2 and they never think about the third. And to be clear, when I say $20,000 a month, I mean $20,000 that you keep, not $20,000 that you bill. So what I'm going to talk about here in economics is what you make and what you keep the same number or very close. Because right now at $5,000 or $10,000 a month, your revenue is basically your pocket. Because you probably don't have a team, you have barely any software. So what comes in is pretty much what you keep. But at $20K a month and beyond, that changes because you start paying for tools, hiring, paying people, AI agents, and every one of those things comes straight off the bottom of the equation. So revenue and take home stops being the same. That is why to scale an online coaching program or offer to $20K a month, there are 2 costs that decide how much you keep. What it costs to deliver your work and what it costs to win a client in the first place. Now, the scale equation drives both of them towards the floor. Take delivery first. Your biggest delivery cost is your time. And as we went through in the client's part of the scale equation, the one package that you sell collapses the time spent per client. So your first client might cost you an hour a week. By client 5, each client is 40 minutes. By client 20, because you're getting better, it's only 20 minutes. So by your 50th client, it's just a few minutes each, especially because you'll find that there are recurring questions that come up again and again that you can turn into videos so you don't need to keep explaining yourself. Plus with AI, I mean, the list is endless. In fact, I talk about that a lot on my channel, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And where most coaches go wrong is they hire too soon because their business becomes so complicated to run it alone, because a team hired early, it eats straight into your take home and you don't need it. You just have one package, run it again and again. That keeps you lean. So there's the cost to deliver to a client. That should be pretty much nothing in the early days when you're making $20K a month. But then you have the cost of winning a client. Now, most coaches bleed money here because they pay for ads, they build funnels, hire social media managers, or get PR. But with the referral flywheel, your best clients bring in your next clients, and because you serve one specific avatar, your content gets so clear that you become the obvious choice for that one person. The right people come to you instead of you paying to get them. So by mastering the clients and economics part of the scale equation, you have delivery costs that fall as you scale. You've got new clients that cost you almost nothing, and economics is something that your competitors are not even looking at. When you get it right, the money that comes in is almost exactly the money that you keep. When you get it wrong, with a bloated team and a pile of ad spend, you can hit 20 grand of revenue and still take home just 8K. But within economics, there are 2 numbers everybody obsesses over: your price and your client count. Most coaches treat them as 2 decisions, but I'm about to show you that they're actually one and prove to you that there is a sweet spot for what you charge. So let's run 3 versions of a $20,000 a month online coaching business and see which one actually holds up. So at the cheap end, 20 clients paying $1,000 each, it gets you 20 grand, but it also gets you a calendar with no white space and the need to sell 20 more clients every month. At the dreamy end, we have 2 clients paying $10,000 each, which sounds incredible until one of those clients leaves. 1 client churns and half your income is gone in a day. In the middle is where the ability for consistent 20K months lives. 4 clients at $5,000 or 5 clients at $4,000. I've seen coaching programs ranging from dating, pet care, gymnastics, business, health, and various other things all the way in between, charging across the board in this price range. Because remember, you're selling a before and after that people actually want. And people spend thousands of dollars on clothes and shoes. When they have a real problem that they want to solve and they're a 5-star client, they invest in getting the outcome. And having worked with thousands of online coaches to scale online coaching programs to 20K a month or more, the sweet spot price is somewhere between 4 and 5K when you're starting out. This price allows you to benefit from everything that we mentioned in the clients section of the scale equation, getting your clients amazing results, but also giving you stability and control over your income. And based on the numbers, that means 4 or 5 new clients a month is the North Star that the rest of the scale equation is built around. And just as a caveat, I'm not talking here to those that are trying to get their first 5 to 10 clients. My channel is more for those that are scaling to the next level. So if that's you, hit subscribe, because once you've worked with clients, gotten results, and you want to scale to 20K profit per month, that's when the price range I'm talking about here makes sense. And it would not make sense to talk about economics without naming the problem with a one-time program fee that almost nobody warns you about. So to stay at $20,000 a month, you would have to sell brand new clients every single month. That's why I use one specific model. It's the same one that I've implemented with thousands of coaching businesses. It's a 90-day program with a love it or leave it guarantee. So at the end of the 90 days, if it is working, it continues automatically. If it's not, they leave, no strings. Now that guarantee also makes the program far easier to sell, because when it continues at a lower monthly rate. So I set it at half of what the program works out to be month for month. So for a $5,000 program, the ongoing fee then works out to be about $833 a month. Usually we just round it to $850. And the reason why the monthly price is lower is on purpose, because by month 4, that client knows your system and they need less of your time, so a lower rate still holds a really strong margin for you. Now watch what this does to your year. Let's be conservative and say only half of your clients continue after the 90 days. So by month 1, you're getting going. Let's say you just bring on 2 clients. That makes you 10K. Month 2, you're still ramping up. You get 3 new clients. So that's 15K. Month 3, your scale equation is running in full, and we're going to get to the client acquisition side of it shortly. So we'll talk about getting leads and sales so that this can work for you. But by then you bring on 4 new clients. That's $20,000. Now month 4 is where it gets really interesting, because you bring on 4 new clients again, another 20K, but your clients from month 1 just crossed their 90-day mark. So conservatively, one of the 2 that signed up back then continues. So on top of your $20,000, you got $833 in continuity. And without any extra effort, you went over and above the 20K. So in month 5, it happens again. 4 new clients, $20,000 in new cash, and 2 clients now in continuity. 1 from month 1 and 1 from month 2. Again, I'm being conservative here. And with what I'm about to show you next, every month, 4 new clients come in at the top. Every month, a group from 90 days ago locks into continuity at the bottom. So your new sales, they can stay the same. You obviously will be able to scale it up if you want to, but the continuity underneath them just keeps growing. So by month 12, you're still enrolling the same 4 clients a month, the exact same effort as month 3, but you're taking home comfortably more than $30,000. And it keeps going. Within about 2 years of running this, your continuity income alone is covering $20,000 a month. The clients who already said yes are paying your whole target before you enroll a single new client. Like, that is the difference between revenue that resets to 0 every month and revenue that stacks. And this is why economics is so important to consider. And to land 4 or 5 new clients a month, you don't need 1,000 leads. You need a handful of the right conversations done well, which brings us to the next element of the scale equation. Sales. Sales is the element of the scale equation that most coaches are afraid of. For years, I was so bad at sales. I thought selling was something that you do to a person, a pitch, a push, a clever line that corners someone into a yes. And because that feels gross, coaches barely sell. Personally, after I cut it down to 1 program at 1 price, my sales changed overnight. I realized I was bad at sales because I was selling a menu. There were different programs, different price points, and trying to explain on the call and guess which version to pitch to each person was so confusing. They then had too many options, so they just didn't choose anything at all. And I was spending so much time thinking, it made me come across as uncertain. But after I cut everything out except 1 package, I really just had to ask myself, is this person a 5-star client for my 1 program or not? If they were a fit, I told them, and if not, I declined them. And I have to say, that feels really good. Because if they were a fit, I was really passionate because I knew I could truly change their life and the program would work for them. So sales became a simple, honest conversation. Because when you speak only to 5-star prospects, the conversation is simple. They have a need and you can meet it. The sales conversation is simply where you and that person find out together whether it's a fit. And when that's your approach, you will enroll conservatively 30 to 40% of the people that you speak to. And that meaning to land 4 or 5 new clients a month, you do not need 100 sales calls. You need about a dozen a month. A dozen real conversations with people who could genuinely be 5-star clients. That is only 3 sales calls a week. But a dozen of the right conversations don't happen by accident. And in the next video that I've linked in the description, it breaks down exactly how to use a phantom sales team equipped with AI to ensure that you are enrolling 5-star clients every single week. So make sure that you watch that one next. Those conversations have to come from somewhere. You need people finding you and the right people raising their hand, which is the next element of the scale equation, leads. This is where I find most coaches are the busiest and the most wrong. They post something, it does well, the comments roll in, 50 people tag a friend, then a couple hundred likes, and it feels like a pipeline. It feels like the business is finally working. It isn't, because comments are not leads. Comments are interest, and interest is very different from intent. So interest, that was a good post, I'm curious, whereas intent is, oh my gosh, I have that problem and I want to get it fixed with you. Now, one of those people are gonna pay you, the other one is just scrolling, probably trying to just waste some time. Coaches at your stage are usually split into 3 camps here, and all 3 of them are stuck. First camp looks like an influencer. They post things that people enjoy, they collect likes, and not one person has any idea that you can actually be hired. The shop has no sign on the door. The second camp looks like a walking advertisement. Every post is a pitch telling people to email you or contact you about signing up for your program. So there is a sign on the door, but nobody is walking down the street because nobody follows an account that only ever sells. The third camp is where most coaches actually live it, where they share real, genuine value post after post and then wonder why none of it ever turns into clients. So we need to get you out of any of those 3 camps and into the 4th, which is where you actually make consistent sales, enough to make consistent 20K profit per month. This is where you build a real audience and make it unmistakably clear that you are open for business, doing it strategically across 3 layers, with all of them running at the same time. Because most coaches that I've met have never actually created a real social media strategy. They think that posting is a strategy, or they think that clipping short form videos or making reels or chasing trends or putting new hashtags is a strategy. It's not. The 3 layers that I'm going to talk to you about here are what I call the 3D content matrix, because each layer is talking to a different person and each one defines value in a completely different way, and they have a completely different desire. That is why it's 3D, 3 desires. Now, if you miss this, even good content will land flat, or it will work inconsistently, where sometimes you pop off and other times it just doesn't work at all and you can't figure out why. So the first of the 3 layers is reach. This is where you're speaking to the desire of feeling understood. Here you're making content to serve the people that you serve but who have never heard of you. So the goal is to reach strangers here. When a stranger feels genuinely understood, they're gonna follow you because they can see that you can understand what they're going through. So in this layer, we are not trying to generate a lead or make a sale. We are just trying to generate a follow from someone who needs us. The second desire is to get tactics or tips that are going to help solve the problem. So this middle layer is where we turn that follower into a conversation. Now they define value as getting those tactics. So you give them a reason to message you to get something like a free resource, a webinar, a quick audit. Now it doesn't really matter what it is. The freebie is not the point. The point is that they're now in your messages, because the conversation is where you get to understand a real human being and find out if it's a fit to work with them. You do not need fancy funnels to hit consistent 20K months. If you don't believe me, just look at all these people that I've helped do it without having that. Now in the third layer, believe it or not, there are people who define value as you selling something to them. They want you to make them an offer because they have intent. So this is content where you're speaking to your audience who already know who you are, who already know that you can solve their problem, and you're telling them that you're going to do something about it. And in these posts, instead of writing a call to action like comment the word food and I'll send you my 5 fat burning foods, which is going to bring in a load of comments, which is going to bring in interest, it's going to pull in people that are not going to buy because nothing in it says that you're available for hire. The intent version would sound something like this. If you're finally ready to fix your high cholesterol once and for all, I am taking on X number of people to work closely with to ensure that you get your cholesterol back into a healthy range. Message me the word info and we can have a chat and talk about working together. That puts a sign on the door and it says straight up, the shop is open, talk to me if you want to work. Now obviously it's going to get fewer comments. It's not meant to entertain the street. And if giving up your comment count to talk to one person sounds like a bad trade, let me show you what it looks like when someone actually does it. So I have a client who helps people set up companies overseas, allowing them to pay less taxes. When she came to me, she had an audience of 200,000 people and her content went viral constantly, all of it about the millionaire lifestyle, the dream, the big number, and it was bringing her almost nobody worth speaking to. So I told her to stop performing for 200,000. Start speaking to the one person who could genuinely become a client, the high net worth founder who needs this done properly and who's going to pay to have it done right. Now, initially, her engagement fell off the cliff. The viral lifestyle content was gone and the likes went with it. So by every number that a normal coach watches, she had just wrecked her entire business. She got way lower engagement, way higher profit, and it was a lot more than 20K a month. The engagement that she gave up was interest. It was strangers curious about this millionaire lifestyle, but the profit she gained was intense. It was people who were already millionaires that didn't need to know about the lifestyle that wanted to stop paying so much tax. And while she sells company formation, it's probably nothing like what you do, and that does not matter. The principle holds in every niche. Interest is cheap, intent is what pays the bills. I even spoke to a guy with more than 10 million subscribers on YouTube making less than $5,000 a month. If you are chasing the loud number, you are chasing the wrong one. So that is leads. Couple hundred of people a month that raise their hand with real intent. That is all you need to make 20K a month. That is what feeds the sales conversations from the last element of the scale equation. And these leads are what fill the sales element of the scale equation. That is what feeds you 4 or 5 clients. But a couple hundred genuine leads a month does not come in from going viral, and it doesn't come from having the biggest audience that you can gather. It comes from the right people seeing you in the first place, which is the final element of the scale equation, attention. By now you know that more isn't always better. And the way we get there is by looking at not as social media, but as business media. Business media is intentional. You're not posting what you want to post. You're posting what your one specific person needs to hear within those 3 layers that I spoke about earlier. You set a strategy, you plan it, you create the content, and then you put it away. Opening Instagram 10 times a day to check how you're posted or to look at what's going on is such a waste of time. I mean, I don't even have social media on my phone, but I've lived on both sides of it. Years ago in my fitness business, I made a video about the 10,000 calorie challenge. I ate 10,000 calories in a day and filmed the whole thing, and it got hundreds of thousands of views. By the numbers, that was a massive win, but it brought me 0 clients, like 0, because that content brought in people that want to watch someone eat 10,000 calories. Not one of them was there to educate themselves. Then I made a different video. I showed how I gained 12 pounds in a single day, and I talked about what it actually meant. TLDR, it was just gaining water weight. Now this one also got hundreds of thousands of views. In fact, it was a very similar number of views, but this video wasn't entertainment. It was speaking to the woman who's obsessed with the number on the scale, who ties her whole sense to it. And that was my ideal client. That one generated me dozens of high ticket coaching clients. And that was the moment that I stopped leaving it to chance, trying to speak to everybody. And I just spoke to that one person who could really do with my help and who had the intent of wanting to get a solution. This is all about getting inside of the head of the one person that you're speaking to, using their words the exact same way that they describe their problem back to them. And this works in every niche. You must speak to what people actually lay awake worrying about. The best copywriter of the last century, Eugene Schwartz, proved this decades ago. You cannot create desire. You can only channel the desire that already exists. So your job isn't here to convince anyone. It is to find what your one person already wants, already fears, and speak straight to it. This principle doesn't care about your niche. The right attention speaks to one specific person about a problem they already feel. Broad attention is going to speak to everyone, but it's not going to sell to anyone, because when you speak to everyone, you have to compete on price. So think about things like Walmart and Amazon. That's one type of pricing strategy. The second type of pricing strategy is premium pricing, where just like the migraine relief pill, you go for a higher price to solve a specific problem. There's only 2 pricing strategies, I'm telling you, so you have to decide which one. And it's literally impossible to do the cheapest price option. So instead, when we go for the most premium price option, we have to know that we are solving a problem for a specific person, and that is the only attention we should care about. You really have to decide if you care more about these vanity metrics or getting less attention from a small number of people. Because it can be really tempting to try and go viral all the time, but that is not going to be the thing that pays the bills. You cannot go and deposit likes in your bank. And can you see how every guru is telling you to start with attention? But with the scale equation, you started with the client, then the economics, then the sales, then the leads that feed it, and then only last the attention that feeds it all. This is the difference between hoping for 20,000 a month and actually choosing it. So now you have all 5 elements of the scale equation. Sales, where you confirm a fit instead of convincing a stranger. Clients, where you choose 5-star clients and sell them one clear before and after. Attention, where you speak to the right person about a problem they already have. Leads, where you trade interest for intent. Economics, the maths underneath all of it, where you choose your numbers instead of hoping for them. Most coaches have 2 or 3 of these working, and they spend years wondering why they're still stuck. The answer never changes. It is not the 2 or 3 that are working that keep you stuck. It is the one that's not. The coaches who break 20 grand a month don't get lucky on one element. They audit all 5 And by the end of this video, you've just done that. And you probably already have a feeling about which ones are weak in your business. And most people watching this video are going to do nothing with it. They're going to close the tab and the day will continue to go on. You'll continue to try and go viral. And then you'll come back to me months later down the line, still not making 20 grand a month. But a few of you, a small few, will sit down right now or tonight and actually run the audit on your own business completely. You'll get really deep on the one element that is not working and you will prioritize it to fix it fast. And when you fix it, you've just found the missing link that is preventing you from hitting those 20K months. And to make this easier for those who are serious about scaling, I put together a scale audit for you completely free that I've linked in the description. It walks you through all 5 elements of the scale equation and it allows you to rank yourself red, orange, or green on each so you can easily see which one you need to fix first. It just takes you a handful of minutes and you're going to get complete clarity on what is actually preventing you from scaling, because oftentimes it's not what you think. And if you know that attention, leads, or sales is the thing that you need in order to fix your business, go and watch this video next because it's going to break down exactly how you can get enough sales to make consistent 20K months.